My name is Lauren Hayes. I'm 34. On December 18th, 2025, at 3:47 p.m., I was standing in my brother's kitchen, watching him pour a $300 bottle of wine, while he told me I wasn't invited to Christmas because, and I quote, "Sweatpants ghosts don't photograph well with winners." I'd driven 2 hours to Charlotte to drop off gifts for my niece and nephew. Harper's wrapped telescope sat in my trunk. Liam's coding kit was still in the bag. I never made it past the granite countertop where my brother Ethan stood in a Tom Ford sweater, his wife Sophia beside him in Louboutins that cost more than my monthly rent. "You understand, right?" Ethan said, swirling his wine. "Sophia's hosting some very important people this year. Investors. A VP from her company. We're curating an atmosphere of success." I stared at him. "I'm your sister." "Exactly." He set down his glass with a soft clink. "Which is why I'm being honest with you instead of making up an excuse. You've been stagnant for years, Lauren. Still doing that ghost thing, whatever that is. Still in that same apartment. We're building something here. Appearance matters." My hands were shaking. I gripped the edge of the counter. "The ghost thing pays for half your life, Ethan." His face hardened. "Excuse me?" "The private school. Harper and Liam's tuition. That's $3,200 a month. The Lexus in your driveway, $850 a month. The groceries I Venmo Sophia every week. The emergency loan for the roof. The vet bill when your dog ate the couch stuffing. Should I keep going?" Sophia's face went white. Ethan's jaw tightened. "That's family helping family. That's what siblings do." "No." My voice was steady now. "Siblings don't uninvite each other from Christmas because they're embarrassed of them." "Don't twist this," Sophia said quickly. "Ethan's worked incredibly hard to build this life. His consulting firm, our reputation." "What consulting firm?" I looked at Ethan. "You haven't had a client in 8 months." The kitchen went silent except for the hum of their sub-zero refrigerator. Ethan stepped forward. His voice dropped to something cold and final. "You need to leave. I'll leave when you explain how you paid for this house, because last time I checked, you burned through your half of Mom and Dad's inheritance in 18 months. That was 5 years ago." His hand slammed on the counter. "Get out of my house." Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. I drove home in silence. My phone buzzed 6 times before I hit the interstate. All from Ethan. "You're out of line. I don't owe you explanations." Sophia's upset. "Thanks for that. Maybe focus on your own life before criticizing mine. We'll talk when you're ready to apologize. There's no place for losers at my table." That last text came through at 4:23 p.m. I read it twice. Then I pulled over at a rest stop and sat there for 20 minutes, hands still gripping the wheel, watching the sunset behind a McDonald's sign. Let me take you back 5 years to November 12th, 2020. I was 29. Ethan was 32. We stood side by side in the rain at Oakwood Cemetery, watching 2 mahogany caskets lower into the ground. Mom's had white roses, Dad's had blue hydrangeas. The accident report said the truck driver fell asleep at the wheel, hit them head on Route 74. They died instantly. Mom was 61, Dad was 63. After the funeral, after the last relative drove away, Ethan and I sat in his car in the parking lot. He was crying. I was numb. We didn't say anything for a long time. "What do we do now?" he finally asked. I looked at him. His tie was crooked. His eyes were red. He looked exactly like Dad did when his mother died. Like a little boy in a suit he didn't know how to wear. "We take care of each other," I said. "That's what they would want." He reached over and squeezed my hand. "Always. You and me. That's it now." 2 weeks later, we met with the estate lawyer. Mom and Dad had split everything 50-50. The house, the savings, the life insurance. I got $287,000, so did Ethan. "Use it wisely," the lawyer said. "Your parents worked their entire lives for this." I bought a small condo. paid cash, set aside money for taxes and emergencies, invested the rest. I was careful. I was grateful. I thought about them every time I wrote a check. Ethan bought a BMW, then a Rolex. Then he and Sophia moved into a rental house in a gated community with a $4,200 a month lease. I asked him once if he was being smart with the money. "I'm investing in my image," he said. "You have to spend money to make money." By month 18, he called me at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. "Can you loan me $5,000? Just until my consulting gig pays out." I sent it the next day. That was the first time. The requests came slowly at first. A few hundred here, 1,000 there, always for something specific. The Lexus down payment, Liam's private school application fee, emergency dental work, Sophia's mother's hospital bills. I said yes every time. Because that's what you do. Because they're family. Because Mom and Dad would have wanted me to help. By year 3, I'd sent Ethan and Sophia over $150,000. I never told anyone. Not my friends. Not my agent. Ethan didn't want people to know he needed help. "It looks bad for the business," he said. So I kept it quiet. I worked behind the scenes anyway. That was my job. I started as a ghostwriter at 24. Romance novels mostly, $3,000 per book. I wrote 40 of them in 6 years, and no one knew my name was on a single page. Then I moved into structural editing. Authors would send me 400-page disasters, and I'd turn them into something publishable. I charged $8,000 per project. I had a 6-month waiting list. Then I became what they call an industry fixer. Tech CEOs who needed memoirs, authors whose publishers threatened to drop them, entrepreneurs whose book deals were falling apart. I'd come in, restructure everything, ghostwrite the sections that didn't work, and make it look like they'd done it themselves. I charged $35,000 per project, sometimes more. I had an 8-month waiting list. My agent joked that I was the most expensive invisible woman in publishing. I worked from my condo in sweatpants. I didn't go to launch parties. I didn't do interviews. I didn't have a LinkedIn profile. The people who knew my work knew me through whispers, through referrals, through, "There's a woman who can fix this, but she doesn't take new clients." I liked it that way. Quiet, effective, invisible. Ethan called it hiding. "You could be someone," he said once. "Instead, you're just a ghost in sweatpants." That phrase stuck. He started using it more. At family dinners, in front of Sophia, in front of the kids. "Aunt Lauren's a ghost. She doesn't really have a job. She just types things." I let it go. I told myself it didn't matter. I was wrong. On July 22nd, 2025, I got a call from a woman named Jessica Reyes. She was a VP at a tech company in Austin. She'd heard about me from a mutual contact. "I need someone who can take a 600-page disaster and turn it into something a publisher will actually want," she said. "I've heard you're the best." We set up a consultation call for the following week. Standard process. I'd review the manuscript, give her a quote, and decide if I wanted the project. The call was scheduled for 2 p.m. on July 29th. At 1:45 p.m., my phone rang. It was Sophia. "Lauren, I need a huge favor. Can you watch the kids tomorrow? Our nanny called in sick, and Ethan has a big meeting." "I have a work call at 2. Can you reschedule it, please? We're desperate." I looked at my calendar. I'd blocked out 3 hours for this consultation. Jessica had flown in from Austin specifically for this meeting. "I really can't." "Fine." Sophia's voice went cold. "I guess we'll figure it out ourselves, like always." She hung up. I called her back. She didn't answer. I texted Ethan. "I have a work commitment. I can watch the kids literally any other day this week." He replied an hour later. Typical. Family doesn't matter when you're working. I rescheduled the call with Jessica to 5 p.m. I drove to Charlotte. I picked up Harper and Liam from school. I made them dinner. I helped with homework. Ethan got home at 8:30 p.m. Thanks, he said, not looking at me. You can go now. I drove home in silence. My call with Jessica had been pushed to the next day. She was polite about it, professional. But something felt different. On August 3rd, I was at a coffee shop in Durham, meeting with a literary agent I'd worked with before. Her name was Patricia Chen. We were discussing a potential project. Halfway through our lattes, she got a strange look on her face. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Are you related to Ethan Hayes?" My stomach dropped. "He's my brother. Why?" "I met him at a networking event last week. He's very charismatic. That's one word for it." She stirred her coffee slowly. "He told me he's building a consulting empire. He mentioned his wife works with some impressive people. He talks about his success a lot." "He does that?" Patricia leaned forward. "Lauren, he told a room of about 15 people that his sister is a struggling freelance typist who lives in his parents' old condo and barely makes rent." The room tilted. "He what?" "He made a joke about family members who refuse to get real jobs." Everyone laughed. "I didn't realize he was talking about you until he said your name." My face burned so hot I could feel my pulse in my temples. "When was this?" "July 26th, Thursday night. Some networking mixer at the Mint Museum." I sat there trying to process it. Ethan had been at a networking event on July 26th, the same week I sent him $3,200 for Harper's tuition, the same week Sophia guilted me into babysitting, the same week he told strangers I was a failure. "Lauren?" Patricia touched my hand. "Are you okay?" I wasn't. I drove home. I pulled up my bank records. I went through 3 years of Venmo transactions. Every payment to Ethan. Every payment to Sophia. Every emergency loan. $150,327. $150,327. I'd sent them $150,000, and my brother was telling networking events I couldn't make rent. I called him at 9:14 p.m. "Hey," he said casually. "What's up?" "I talked to Patricia Chen today." Silence. "Ethan, look, I don't know what she told you, but you told people I'm a struggling typist?" "I didn't say that exactly." "What did you say exactly?" He sighed. "I made a joke, Lauren. It was a networking thing. People were talking about their families. I was just being relatable." "Relatable?" "Yeah. Everyone has that one family member who's kind of stuck. I was just being honest." My hands were shaking. "Honest? Come on, don't make this into a thing. You're so sensitive. I sent you $3,200 2 days before that event." "That's different. That's private. What I say in public is my business." "It's my reputation, Ethan." "Your reputation?" He laughed. "Lauren, no one knows who you are. That's your whole brand. Being invisible. Don't suddenly act like you care what people think." I hung up. I sat on my couch for an hour, then two. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there watching my fish tank, watching the angelfish drift past the filter, thinking about the fact that my brother had spent $150,000 of my money while telling strangers I was a loser. Something hardened in my chest that night. Something small and cold and permanent. Over the next 3 months, I kept working. I took on a memoir project for a tech CEO named David Marino. The manuscript was a disaster. Ego-driven rambling with no structure. I restructured the entire thing in 6 weeks. He paid me $42,000. The book went to auction. 3 publishers bid on it. It sold for $600,000. David sent me a bottle of champagne with a note. "You're a miracle worker. Thank you for making me sound smarter than I am." I didn't drink the champagne. I put it in my cabinet next to 2 other bottles from 2 other grateful clients who didn't know how to thank the invisible woman who'd saved their careers. Meanwhile, Ethan kept texting. Need $1,200 for Liam's soccer fees. Can you Venmo? Lexus payment due. $850. Thanks. Sophia's laptop died. Can you cover a new one? $1,800. I stopped responding. He called me on October 10th at 6:47 a.m. Why aren't you answering my texts? Because I'm done, Ethan. Done with what? Paying for your life. He laughed. Are you serious right now? You're really going to do this? After everything we've been through? After everything I've paid for, you mean? That's low, Lauren. That's really low. Family doesn't keep score. Family doesn't lie about each other to impress strangers. I'm hanging up now. Call me when you're done being petty. He hung up. I didn't call him back. On November 4th, I was at a coffee shop working on edits when a woman approached my table. Excuse me, are you Lauren Hayes? I looked up. She was mid-40s, black, wearing a sharp pantsuit, and an expression that said she was used to being the smartest person in the room. I am. Can I help you? My name is Jessica Reyes. We had a consultation call scheduled back in July. My stomach dropped. Jessica. Hi. I'm so sorry about that. Don't apologize. She sat down across from me without asking. I have a question. Do you know why I didn't hire you? I closed my laptop. No. Because after our call got rescheduled, I did some more digging into you. I called around, and someone mentioned that your brother has some concerns about your reliability. The room went cold. My brother said, what? He told someone at a networking event that you struggle to maintain professional commitments, that you're not really a serious business person, just a hobbyist. I sat there, frozen. Jessica leaned forward. Here's the thing. I didn't believe him. I've read the Horizon memoir. I've read the Tectiera piece. I know those were yours. I asked around. Your work speaks for itself. Then why? Because I wanted to see if you'd defend yourself. When I rescheduled our call, you didn't explain why. You didn't tell me what you were dealing with. You just said, I apologize for the inconvenience. Very professional. Very invisible. That's how I work. I know. She pulled out a business card. That's why I'm here now. I want to hire you. $50,000, 8 weeks. And I want you to stop letting people erase you. I took the card. One more thing, Jessica said as she stood up. I looked up your brother's consulting firm. There's no website, no client list, no LLC registration. Just a LinkedIn profile with a lot of buzzwords. You might want to ask yourself what he's actually selling. She left. I sat there staring at her business card for 10 minutes. Then I opened my laptop. I searched Ethan's name. His LinkedIn said founder and principal consultant, Hayes Strategic Solutions. I clicked through. No website linked, no case studies, no testimonials. Just a profile picture of him in a suit looking confident and a bio full of phrases like leveraging synergies and optimizing growth pathways. I searched for Hayes Strategic Solutions. Nothing came up except his LinkedIn. I checked the North Carolina Secretary of State's business registry. No LLC named Hayes Strategic Solutions. No registration under Ethan Hayes. Nothing. My brother didn't have a consulting firm. He had a LinkedIn profile and a mortgage he couldn't afford. I closed my laptop. I sat there in that coffee shop for another 20 minutes. People came and went. Someone's phone rang. A barista called out, "Grande latte for Michelle." Life kept happening around me while I processed the fact that I'd spent 3 years funding a lie. That night, I opened a spreadsheet. I documented every payment, every text, every request. I made copies of Venmo transactions, bank transfers, screenshots of conversations. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet, but I knew I wasn't going to stay invisible anymore. On November 23rd, Sophia called me. I almost didn't answer. Lauren, we need to talk about Christmas. I'm not coming, I said. Ethan made that clear. He's being stubborn. You know how he is. But the kids want you there. Harper keeps asking about her telescope. Then tell Ethan to invite me. I'm inviting you, please. It's Christmas. I paused. Who else is coming? Just family. Well, and a few of Ethan's business contacts. Jessica Reyes from Austin. A couple of investors. Nothing major. Just a nice dinner party. Jessica Reyes. I sat up straighter. Jessica's coming to your Christmas party? Yes. She and Ethan connected at some tech thing. She's investing in his new venture. My chest went tight. What new venture? Some consulting expansion thing. I don't know the details. You know how Ethan is with business talk. I knew exactly how Ethan was. I'll come, I said. Text me the time. I hung up. I immediately texted Jessica Reyes. Hi, Jessica. This is Lauren Hayes. Quick question. Are you attending a Christmas party in Charlotte on December 24th? She responded 15 minutes later. Yes, your brother invited me. Said it would be a good opportunity to meet some of his team. Why? Just curious. See you there. I put my phone down. I sat there thinking. Then I called the attorney who'd handled my parents' estate. His name was Richard Polk. He was 68 years old and semi-retired, but he'd promised my mother before she died that he'd always be available if Ethan or I needed him. Lauren, he said warmly, it's been years. How are you? I need to ask you something about my parents' will. Of course. When they died, everything was split 50-50, right? Between Ethan and me? That's correct. And there wasn't anything else? No trust? No delayed inheritance? Richard paused. Why are you asking? I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Your parents' estate was straightforward. Everything split evenly, but... He hesitated. Your mother did leave something else. Instructions, actually, for me. My heart stopped. What instructions? She asked me to watch over both of you for the first 5 years. She was worried about Ethan. She knew he was impulsive with money. She made me promise that if he got into serious trouble, I'd intervene. Did you? I couldn't. Attorney-client privilege prevents me from discussing one sibling's finances with the other. But Lauren, I've been watching, and I've been keeping records. Records of what? Everything your mother worried about, your brother's spending patterns, his debts, the fact that he's been using your money to maintain a lifestyle he can't afford. I have documentation going back 3 years. I couldn't breathe. Why didn't you tell me? Because your mother's instructions were very specific. I was to wait until you asked. She said, and I quote, Lauren will know when it's time. When she asks, give her everything. Tears burned behind my eyes. She knew. She knew Ethan would burn through his inheritance. She knew he'd lean on you. And she knew you'd handle it quietly until you couldn't anymore. So she prepared. What do I have? Come to my office tomorrow, Richard said. I'll show you. I drove to Richard's office on November 24th at 9 a.m. His practice was in a small brick building in downtown Durham, the kind of place with mahogany bookshelves and the smell of old paper. He handed me a manila envelope. Your mother gave this to me 3 months before she died. She made me promise to seal it and not open it unless you specifically came asking about irregularities in Ethan's finances. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter in my mother's handwriting. Seeing her script again after 5 years broke something open in my chest. The letter read, Dear Lauren, if you're reading this, then I'm gone, and Ethan is doing exactly what I knew he would do. He's burning through money he doesn't have. He's leaning on you because you're generous and loyal and you believe in family, and he's probably making you feel guilty for wanting to protect yourself. I'm sorry I couldn't stop this while I was alive. I tried to talk to him. I tried to make him understand that money isn't love, that appearances don't matter, that the people who matter don't care about what car you drive. He didn't hear me. He only hears documents. Do you remember the summer you turned 12? We were at the beach house and you found that hermit crab stuck in a tide pool. You spent 2 hours carefully moving rocks and creating a path so it could get back to the ocean. Your father and I watched you from the porch. When you came back, I said, "You're going to spend your whole life rescuing things that should be able to save themselves." You said, "But what if they can't?" I said, "Then you love them and let them go." That's what you need to do with your brother. Love him and let him go. The original documentation of your father's and my estate is with Richard Polk. This copy includes every financial agreement Ethan and I discussed before we died, bank statements proving that he knew his half of the inheritance wouldn't sustain his lifestyle, emails where I specifically told him not to rely on you for money, a signed letter from Ethan 6 months before we died, promising to figure out his own finances and not drag Lauren into his mess. There's also something else. Your father and I had a life insurance policy neither of you knew about. $200,000. We put it in a separate trust with very specific instructions. It only releases if you need it to protect yourself from financial abuse. Richard has the full documentation. Don't show this to anyone until the right moment. Not Ethan, not even well-meaning friends. Wait until you're in a position where the truth will matter, where people will listen, where your brother's lies have built him up so high that the fall will be inevitable. You are not stagnant. You are not invisible. You are not a ghost. You're exactly what your father and I hoped you'd be. Someone who builds things quietly, who values substance over appearance, who knows that real power doesn't need an audience. I love you, sweetheart. I'm so proud of you. All my love, Mom. P.S. Remember what I told you the night before your college graduation? Some people collect trophies. You collect proof. I meant it. I read the letter 4 times. Tears ran down my face and I didn't wipe them away. I just sat there in Richard's office, holding my mother's words, realizing she'd seen all of this coming. "There's more," Richard said gently. He pulled out a folder. "Your mother documented every conversation she had with Ethan about money, including one from September 2020, 2 months before they died, where Ethan told her he'd already borrowed $20,000 from a friend and had no way to pay it back. He showed me bank statements, email printouts, a handwritten note from Ethan promising he'd get his act together. Your mother also made me track any financial transactions between you and Ethan after her death," Richard continued. "She assumed he'd turn to you. I've been monitoring. I know about the $150,000. Is that legal?" "Your mother gave me permission to protect you, even if it meant watching from a distance. So yes, and here's what I found." He opened another folder. Inside were credit card statements. Not mine, Ethan's. "How did you—" "Your mother was listed as an authorized user on several of Ethan's accounts before she died. Those accounts were never closed. Legally, as the executor of her estate, I retained access for the purpose of ensuring no fraudulent claims against her estate." The statements told a story. Ethan had maxed out 4 credit cards in the last 3 years. Total debt, $87,000. The charges ranged from luxury goods to private school tuition to a $6,800 wine cellar installation. "He's bankrupt," I whispered. "Worse, he's insolvent. The house he's living in? Rental, the Lexus, lease, the furniture, payment plan. Everything you see is borrowed or financed, and most of it, according to these statements, was paid for using money you sent him." I looked up at Richard. "What do I do?" "You decide who you want to be," he said. "You can walk away and let him collapse on his own. Or you can use what your mother gave you to protect yourself and tell the truth." "I don't want revenge." "Good. Your mother wouldn't want that either. But she did want you to stop being invisible when it mattered." I took the folder. I took the letter. I took copies of everything Richard had compiled. That night, I drafted a letter of my own. It was 2 pages, single-spaced, professional. It outlined every payment I'd made to Ethan and Sophia over 3 years. It included copies of Venmo transactions, text message screenshots, and bank transfers. It ended with a single sentence. I am formally requesting repayment of $150,327 to be paid in full by January 15th, 2026, or I will pursue legal action. I didn't send it yet. I waited. On December 18th, Ethan uninvited me from Christmas. On December 23rd, Sophia texted me the party details. Christmas Eve, 6 p.m. Dress nicely. Ethan wants to make a good impression. I responded, I'll be there. I printed the letter. I put it in an envelope. I put the envelope in my purse. Then I called a tow truck company. Christmas Eve arrived cold and clear. I drove to Charlotte at 4:30 p.m. I wore a simple black dress, the kind of thing that blends into the background. I brought the gifts for Harper and Liam. I brought the envelope. Ethan's house was lit up like a catalog photo. White lights wrapped around every column, gold and silver ornaments hung from a massive wreath on the front door. Through the windows, I could see the Christmas tree, at least 12 feet tall, covered in matching gold decorations. I parked on the street, 2 houses down. Then I called the tow truck company. I need you to arrive at 143 Magnolia Ridge Lane at exactly 7:15 p.m. You'll be repossessing a silver Lexus GX. The owner hasn't made payments in 6 weeks. I'll email you the documentation. Yes, ma'am. We'll be there. I hung up. I took a breath. Then I walked to the house. Sophia answered the door. She looked stunning in a cream-colored dress and diamond earrings I knew Ethan couldn't afford. Lauren! She hugged me like nothing had happened. I'm so glad you came. Come in. Come in. The house was full of people. I recognized a few faces from Ethan's LinkedIn, Sophia's co-workers, 2 men in expensive suits who looked like investors, and there, by the fireplace, holding a glass of champagne, was Jessica Reyes. She saw me. Her eyebrows went up. Ethan appeared from the kitchen. He stopped when he saw me. Lauren. His voice was cold. I didn't think you'd actually come. Sophia invited me. Right. Well, don't embarrass me, okay? He walked away. I stood there for a moment, watching him work the room. He was charming, confident. He told a story about closing a major consulting deal. People laughed. Someone refilled his wine glass. He looked like exactly what he wanted to be. Successful, self-made, in control. Jessica Reyes walked over to me. Lauren Hayes, she said quietly. What are you doing here? Family Christmas. This is your brother's house? Technically, it's a rental, but yes. She looked around, looked at the decorations, the catering, the champagne. He told me he's launching a venture capital arm of his consulting firm, asked if I'd be interested in investing. How much? 250,000. My stomach turned. Don't. Why not? Because nothing here is real. Before she could respond, Sophia clinked a glass. Everyone turned. Thank you all for being here, she said, smiling. Ethan and I are so grateful to celebrate with people who've been part of our journey. This year has been incredible. Ethan's business is thriving. We're so blessed. Ethan raised his glass. To success, to partnerships, and to the people who understand that winners don't settle. His eyes landed on me for just a second. I saw it. The smirk. The dismissal. Everyone drank. I didn't. At 7:10 p.m., I stood up. I walked to the dining room table where Sophia had arranged gifts in neat piles. I placed my envelope on top of the largest box. What's that? Sophia asked, suddenly beside me. A Christmas gift. Can I? It's for Ethan. She frowned but didn't push. At 7:14 p.m., Ethan noticed the envelope. He picked it up, opened it, started reading. I watched his face change. First confusion, then recognition, then panic. What the hell is this? The room went quiet. It's an itemized list of every payment I've made to you and Sophia over the last 3 years, I said clearly. Private school tuition, car payments, groceries, emergency loans, vet bills, networking dinners, everything. Sophia's face went white. Lauren, the total is $150,327. I'm requesting repayment by January 15th. Ethan stared at me. You can't be serious. I'm very serious. This is... He looked around at his guests. This is completely inappropriate. It's Christmas. You uninvited me from Christmas because I'm a loser, remember? Because sweatpants ghosts don't photograph well? Someone gasped. Jessica Reyes was watching with her arms crossed. Ethan's voice dropped. Lauren, we're family. You can't... Family doesn't lie about each other to impress investors, Ethan. I never... You told Patricia Chen I'm a struggling typist. You told networking events I can barely make rent. You told Jessica here that you're launching a venture capital arm. I looked at Jessica. He doesn't have a consulting firm. There's no business registration, no LLC, no clients, just a LinkedIn profile and $87,000 in credit card debt. The room was frozen. Ethan's face turned red. That's private information. You have no right. I have documentation, I said calmly. Every text where you asked for money, every Venmo transaction, bank statements, credit reports, and before you ask, yes, it's legal. Mom made sure of it. Mom? His voice cracked. I pulled out the second envelope. Mom wrote me a letter 3 months before she died. She predicted you'd burn through your inheritance and lean on me. She documented every conversation she had with you about money. She even set aside a life insurance policy I didn't know about, $200,000, specifically to protect me from you. I handed the letter to Richard Polk, who'd quietly entered through the front door at 7:13 p.m., exactly as planned. Richard Polk, he introduced himself to the room. I was the estate attorney for David and Catherine Hayes. I can confirm everything Lauren just said is accurate and documented. Ethan's hands were shaking. You're lying. Mom wouldn't... She knew you, Ethan. I kept my voice steady. She loved you. But she knew you, and she knew I'd spend years trying to save you until I couldn't anymore. So she prepared. Sophia was crying now. We were going to pay you back. We just needed time. 3 years wasn't enough time? I looked at her. How much time do you need to pay back $150,000 while leasing a Lexus and hosting Christmas parties with catering? At exactly 7:15 p.m., we heard it. The backup beeping of a tow truck. Everyone rushed to the window. Outside, a large orange tow truck with flashing lights was backing into the driveway. A man in coveralls got out, carrying a clipboard. Ethan ran to the door. What the hell is this? Lexus GX, license plate HYS-8492, the driver said. I'm here to repo. You can't... Ethan turned to me. His face was pure rage. You did this. You missed 6 payments, I said. The financing company asked me to stop covering them. I did. The driver attached chains to the Lexus. The sound of metal on metal echoed through the neighborhood. Sophia was sobbing. How could you do this? On Christmas? In front of everyone? I looked at her. You told me there's no place for losers at your table. I'm just making sure you're not sitting at mine. Jessica Reyes stepped forward. For what it's worth, I believe her. Ethan spun toward her. Jessica, I can explain. You told me you closed a $2 million consulting deal last month. You said you had 12 full-time clients. You said your firm was profitable. She looked at the letter still in his hand. Were any of those things true? He didn't answer. That's what I thought. Jessica turned to me. Lauren, Do you have time this week to discuss that project we talked about? I do. She nodded, then walked out. One by one, the other guests followed. The investors, Sophia's co-workers, the neighbors who'd come for free champagne. They filed out quietly, avoiding eye contact, until only family remained. Harper and Liam were upstairs. They didn't know what was happening. I was grateful for that. Ethan sank into a chair. You destroyed me. No, I said. You destroyed yourself. I just stopped cleaning it up. What do you want from me? Nothing anymore. I put on my coat. I came here to tell the truth. That's all. Sophia grabbed my arm. Please, we'll pay you back. We'll figure something out. Just don't do this. I looked at her hand on my sleeve, then at her face. Sophia, you called me a loser. You uninvited me from Christmas. You made me believe I was less than you because I don't wear designer clothes or drive a luxury car. And all of it, every single thing you used to look down on me, was paid for with my money. I gently removed her hand. I hope you figure it out, I said. I really do. But I'm done being invisible so you can shine. I walked to my car. I didn't look back. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Ethan. I almost didn't answer. Lauren. Ethan. Silence. I'm sorry, he said finally. I'm really, really sorry. I sat down on my couch. Okay. We're losing the house. Sophia's parents are helping us move into a smaller place. I'm looking for real work, actual jobs, not whatever I was pretending to do. That's good. The kids are asking about you. My chest tightened. I miss them. Can we figure something out? I know I don't deserve it, but they're kids. They don't understand why Aunt Lauren stopped coming around. I closed my eyes. I'll come see them, but not at your house. Not until you've made real changes. Fair. His voice broke. I really am sorry, Lauren, for all of it. I know. Did Mom really write that letter? Yes. Did she think I was a bad person? No. She thought you were scared. She thought you were trying to be someone you weren't. And she thought it would hurt you. He was crying now. It did. I know. We stayed on the phone for a few more minutes. Then we hung up. I didn't know if we'd ever be close again. I didn't know if I wanted that. But I knew I'd told the truth. And I knew Mom would be proud of that. 6 months later. I'm sitting in a new apartment in downtown Durham. Hardwood floors, large windows. A desk that faces east so I get morning light. On the wall above my desk is a photo of Mom and Dad from 1998, standing in front of their first house, both of them smiling like they'd just won the lottery. Next to it is a photo of Harper and Liam from last month. We went to the Science Museum. Harper's holding a model rocket she built. Liam's making a goofy face. They're happy. They're okay. I still do the same work, ghostwriting, structural editing, industry fixing. But now when people ask what I do, I tell them. When they're impressed, I don't deflect. Jessica Reyes hired me for 3 more projects. She introduced me to 4 other clients. My waiting list is now 11 months long. I still wear sweatpants when I work, but I don't hide anymore. The $150,000? Ethan's been paying me back. $500 a month. It'll take him 25 years at this rate. I told him that's fine. I'm not in a hurry. What I learned is this. You can't rescue people who don't want to be saved. And staying silent doesn't make you kind. It just makes you complicit in your own erasure. Some people collect trophies. I collect proof. Mom taught me that. And in the end, proof was the only thing that mattered. If you've ever funded someone else's dream while they called you a failure, type, I paid the bill in the comments. Or if you finally stopped and walked away, type, I stopped paying. Both are valid, both take courage. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. Merry Christmas.